this because I want to get to the heart of what they believe. Right here. The real definition of morphe should become apparent as we check the source. The source is available at the time of the New Testament. Okay. In other words, they're saying we're going to use scripture to interpret scripture, right? Which is cool. Sounds great. That's the way we should be doing things. From secular writings, we learn that the Greeks used morphe to describe when the gods changed their appearance. Kittle points out that in pagan mythology, the gods changed their forms, morphe, and especially notes Aphrodite, Demeter, and Dionysus as three who did. This is clearly a change of appearance, not nature. Josephus, a contemporary of the apostles, used morphe to describe the shape of statues, okay, according to Bauer's lexicon. Other uses of morphe in the Bible support the position that morphe refers to outer appearance. The Gospel of Mark has a short reference to the well-known story in Luke 24, verse 13 to 33, about Yahusha appearing to the two men on the road to Emmaus. Mark tells us that Yahusha appeared in a different form to these two men so that they did not recognize him. This is very clear. Yahusha did not have a different essential nature when he appeared to the two disciples. He simply had a different outer appearance. What is wrong with what they're saying here and how they're applying Philippians 2, the word form, morphe, in Philippians chapter 2 in comparison to Luke 24, verse 13 to 33? I'm going to give you why this is horrendous biblical interpretation. They're playing gymnastics. They're playing games. And I'm going to tell you, what is the difference between, let me ask it this way. Maybe it might become clear. Let me ask it to you. What is the difference between Yahusha pre-existing the process of being conceived in a mother's womb, knitted in a mother's womb, taking on veins, ligaments, bones, muscles, brain, and then being birthed out of a woman, living on an earth, breathing oxygen, bleeding, being able to feel pain? What is the difference between that and what he was before that? So take that and put that on one side, because that's a form. That's the form that Philippians 2 is talking about. He took on that. He was born of a virgin. He was actually born. He was a baby, and he actually grew up over time. Versus the Luke passage where Yahusha is first of all a grown man. He died, he resurrected, and he's in a resurrected body, and he's showing up to his disciples in a different outer appearance for a moment. What is the difference between those two scenarios? Is there a difference, and should you equate one with the other? Quiz question. Because this is what I would ask the Unitarian. So you got two scenarios.
Right.
Spiritual being becoming a human.
A mortal man.
Versus a resurrected being appearing differently while he's resurrected on the earth. What is the difference between those two scenarios? Besides the way that I'm explaining it, is all just the lingo is already different. I need you guys to exercise that brain real quick. Critical thinking. I just have a simple question. Let me get a vote. I want to hear from you. Just jump in. Is there a difference between the two, yes or no?
No.
You say no.
I was going to say yes. I thought there was a difference.
Jose
Maybe
says yes.
Understanding.
Jose says yes. Anybody else? Anthony, Hanata.
No, I already said no.
You said no. There's no difference between the two scenarios?
Well, I'm breaking just simple stuff, right? I'm trying to think it through,
okay.
Right? The resurrected body of Yahushua Messiah is still the same. It still looks the same with the piercings, on the side and everything. It's still the same, reanimated, in its glory.
Heavenly
Okay.
body.
Now, how about the body before the incarnation, Yahusha before his incarnation versus his incarnation? Is those two bodies the same?
Not beat and skull.
One more time.
Not physical flesh.
So we're putting aside, Anthony, I'm putting to the side the Luke passage. We already put that to the side. You're saying it's Yahusha's appearing in the same body, holes in his hands, right? I agree with that. We're going to put that to the side right now. Okay? That's
Okay.
one scenario of taking on a form. I want to address now Yahusha becoming incarnate, taking on human flesh. Is Yahuwah's former appearance the same as his appearance as a human?
It's not
Yes,
heaven.
it's complete, right? It's complete.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. Then that must mean that Yahusha was a human before his incarnation, right? Is that what you're saying, Anthony?
No, I'm not saying that.
So then let me ask the question again. Was Yahusha's form the same before his incarnation?
Yes,
How?
Oh, I think
because he was a person. He was a person.
But was he? All right, look here. Let me put the verse in front of you so you
he
can.
took on human form first.
Philippians 2, right?
Right.
Who, although he existed in the form of God, did not regard equality with God something to be grasped, but emptied himself, taking on the form of a bondservant. My question is, did he have the form of a bondservant before?
Before he took it on, no.
This is for Anthony, because he needs to like really, I need you to see this.
In my mind, what I'm thinking in my head is that he didn't have limitations before.
Right.
And so when he takes on the form of a bondservant, then he has limitations.
Right. So by that right there, what you just said, can we literally say he was equally the same form before and after his incarnation? Or is there a difference now?
There's a difference.
There's a difference, right?
There's a difference.
Now you got the two scenarios. Let's do this, review this again. We got the two different scenarios. They're bringing up Luke chapter, whatever that is, Luke 13 or whatever. And they're saying it's the same thing as Philippians chapter 2. The way that Yahusha appeared himself to his disciples and changed his outward appearance is the same as Yahusha taking on his incarnation. Take those two scenarios together. Can we say that they're both exactly the same?
No.
No, because the way he's appearing to his disciples is in a resurrected body. He's already human. He's a resurrected human. And we believe he's God. Okay. Unitarians don't believe he's God. But what I'm trying to bring out is we're comparing oranges to apples. Okay. The Luke passage is an orange. Philippians 2 is an apple. It's definitely different. If they were the same, Anthony and anybody else confused, I'm trying to make this, because I know this is complicated, but this is how I like to analyze I like to analyze people's views, and I like to really go deep with it. All right. If the Unitarian is claiming that Philippians 2, Yahusha's form, taking on a different form, is identical to Luke, then basically what the Unitarian is saying is that Yahusha really wasn't a human being. He was only a outward image. But his inward, he wasn't a human being in full nature. Right? Because he's just appearing as a human. Right? The Unitarian, in their article, they're saying that the word morphe should not be defined as the inward nature, but as only the outward form. So if that's the case, then Yahusha really wasn't a true human being. He was only appearing as one.
If I may.
Correct.
And there's a big problem with that, right?
Absolutely.
Because the scriptures makes it clear that Yahusha was a man and became a human. It doesn't say he appeared as a human.
Yeah. And he suffered as
Unless you're gonna, because this is only one passage, which does make it sound that way, right? To their defense, being found in appearance as a man. So they would take this right here would be their reason to say Yahusha really wasn't a man. He was only in appearance as a man. But what's the problem with taking this verse to create a doctrine? I bet you we could find a whole bunch of other passages that will actually say he actually was a man, right?
Because it's not whole. It's, you know, it's just a shell.
Mm-hmm.
and he took on the physical pains of a man.
Let's examine. Let's see if we can find more passages on Yahusha being an actual human being, because that's what it comes down to. In order to embrace the Unitarian's perspective of what morphe means, is to deny the humanity identity of Yahusha, that he wasn't really a man. And if he wasn't really a man, then he didn't really feel pain. He was faking it. He was pretending.
And his blood was fake.
Here, let's do this. I'm gonna pause.
I think tempted is a good one.
Here's some issues I have with them saying that he only appeared as a human but wasn't really human. You have to deal with these passages right here. Hebrews chapter 2. It says, therefore, in all things, he had to be made like his brethren. Okay. Again, they would say that's proving our point. He wasn't really human. He was like in appearance of, he wasn't really human, being made like his brethren, that he might be a merciful and faithful high priest in things pertaining to God, to make propitiation for the sins of the people. For in that he himself has suffered, being tempted, he is able to aid those who are tempted. If he really wasn't human, then he really wasn't being tempted. He doesn't know what that feels like. He doesn't know what it feels like to suffer as a human. And that's my first issues. If he's not really a human, which Unitarians won't say. They actually believe Yahusha is a human, which is why I would bring this point up. If you're saying that he was, the morphe is just the outward appearance, then you're talking about he doesn't have an inward nature of a human being. He only has an outward nature of a human being. That's contradictory to your own belief. So you say you believe Yahusha is a human being, Jesus is a man, but you're denying his manhood by saying it's only an appearance. The other passage is Hebrews 4 in context. Seeing then that we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Yahusha, the Son of God, let us hold fast our confession, for we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted as we are. This is not talking about outward appearance. This is talking about emotions of a human, feelings, actual sensations, the senses. A human feels pain, know what it feels like to be tempted, knows what it thinks like, what the thoughts are of being tempted. You cannot feel or think these things as a human if you're only appearing as a human, like in the Old Testaments when angels came down and looked like men. Remember Daniel and his friends in the fiery furnace? The three guys in a fiery furnace, and then they said they saw one more in the fiery furnace with them, another one like the Son of Man, one who looks human. That's a divine being coming down in the appearance of a human, but not literally human.
Otherwise, they would have burned.
Not necessarily, because Daniel and the boys were human, but they didn't burn, so Yahuwah was protecting them. That's not the point I'm trying to bring. The point I'm trying to bring is they're saying that Yahusha's existence on the earth as a man was merely appearance only. Does that make sense? They're basically saying that his whole time he was on earth, it was just a change of appearance. He wasn't literally a human being on the inside, only on the outside. That doesn't make sense. Because then Yahusha wouldn't feel pain as a human. he wouldn't feel suffering or know what it's like to be tempted or feel the weakness of being a human being. I hope this is making sense. Is anybody confused? It's okay to say yes, because I know sometimes I tend to.
No, I just feel like it, to me, it, for more, trying to, I guess, simplify a little more, is like saying he was like an actor. You know, everything he did was an act. It was just a gigantic hoax. You know, just like D-Rail was talking about. I mean, how can you be hungry unless you're hungry? Like, you know, you go to the desert, you know, you're 40 days without food and water, and you're hungry. Like your body's hurting, you know, and all the different things he experienced. It's like it was like we're in a false understanding of who he is.